Let's not get it twisted. We would all rather have had everything handed to us. Like people are like, we always take such like working man's pride. Like I worked hard for everything I had. I'm like, hard pass. I would rather just be so hot, given everything, and just be useless. Like if you were like that kind of hot where it's like, oh my God, what is this? A Fabergé egg? Thank you. Thanks. That would be a nicer lift than like gritting it out on like a flight between like St. Louis to Chicago that's delayed.
Today's show is brought to you by Rebel Bee Sweets Honey Gummies.
Yes, I'm sitting in for this one. I tried one.
Because it's really good.
They are.
You don't really think of healthy snacks that are sweet, right? It's kind of like oxymoronic, but actually they've managed to make it happen. Rebel Bee Gummies. My family swears by these. I don't have to hide them from my kids in the top cabinets because they're healthy. They're made with honey instead of refined sugars. In fact, I'm going to tell you all the ingredients. Okay, sweetened with honey, no refined sugar. We got that down. They've got tart cherry in it, blue oyster mushroom, pomegranate, Mexican vanilla, and saffron. Sounds good. I love them as a mom, and my kids do too.
The Hardings, we're a honey family.
You are?
Tons of honey. The counter's full of different honeys. These could fit right in.
Good news. You can get 10% off if you go to the website right now. Just go to rebelbeesweets.com. Get 10% off. The code is Adrianna10. Iliza Shlesinger, welcome. Let me start that over.
Okay.
And cut. Iliza Shlesinger.
Yay!
We did it.
We did
welcome
do it.
to Not So Hollywood.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you
Thanks
here.
for having me.
Writer, producer, actor, comedian, TV host, podcaster, like mom, wife. I mean, it's frightening how much you do in a day. So we should probably just start off with why.
Okay. I guess why not?
Why not?
Why not is the big to be or not to be.
You just said something when the cameras weren't rolling that I love, and I think
That's
it's
what I do.
important for people to hear. When they're off, it's the funny
That's when
stuff.
the gold happens. Yeah.
You said, I hosted a show 100 years ago
Yeah.
when I thought it was my big break.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I was saying my publicist who's here today, totally relatable to people at home, was my publicist that I hired in, I guess, like 2010 when I hosted a dating show. And you hire a publicist because you're like, this is going to be it. Get ready, Hollywood. And then it's like, okay, well, it's canceled and you can just go back on the road. And you're like, cool, well, that was a lot of money.
How many times does that happen in Hollywood where you think you're reaching the pinnacle just to realize you're at the bottom of the mountain?
I feel like we're not allowed to talk about this because there's this like referendum on like being great. Like you're always supposed to be grateful and like talking about like, and I'm still climbing. And you can be grateful and also laugh at all the times you were like, here I go. Like the time that I bought like a red carpet dress, like to get ready in case I was invited to a red carpet, not knowing A, if it's a big carpet, someone's styling you, and B, there would be no carpets for a very long time. And eventually that dress just went out of fashion and I just sold it.
That's unbelievable. The real. Maybe somebody bought it.
Yeah, and you just never know what's going to be if you even have one or even if those big breaks exist for you, but you just never know.
And you've had so many since. I kind of joke about all the hyphens and all the things you've done. But honestly, tell me sort of how you're spending your time these days and what you're giving most attention to, other than the baby, I'm sure.
Of course, the baby gets special time in the morning. This coffee cup's not going to throw itself across the room, so she has to do it.
What time do you wake up?
Okay, no one's going to like this answer. The baby wakes up and we let her kind of quietly play by herself. Like you can hear her kind of like cooing. She's 16 months old. The dog, if she hears the baby, will growl.
I know, it's crazy.
So the baby doesn't wake me up. The dog, letting me know my own child is in the other room.
So the dog's a better mom.
Oh my God, I know. I'm just like, shut up. Wait now. I probably wake up 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. You sleep.
I do sleep.
Oh, that's great. Okay. I thought you were going to be like 3:45, like Mark Wahlberg, and then I do my workout. And
No, but shout out to Mark.
oh, don't worry. We're
good for
going
you.
there.
I do. And I have a person who comes at 9 and helps with the baby. My husband and I both work, and this is what you work for so that you can have these resources. And so I think, obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the writer's strike. So that definitely like threw a wrench in everything. When I'm not on the road, I get to spend a lot of time developing projects, writing stuff, and when there's a downbeat, like the pandemic hit, so I wrote a book, forever writing pitches for shows and treatments and just working on stuff quietly. And then at night I go work on stand-up.
Oh, really? So you just go from work to work?
Yeah, but I guess it's not work because I'm not writing something for someone else and I'm getting to create for myself, and I don't know that I could do a job for someone else that I didn't like doing. Like, to me, it's not work. Like, I love doing stand-up.
Of course. And like, it's a project like this. We kind of started it together, and it's all your blood, sweat, and tears. You put as much as you can into it, knowing that, rather hoping that it's going to really blow up and this is going to be it.
Yeah. I think in Hollywood, sometimes it's less of a blow up and it's more of like a slow seep in. And then you look up one day and you've done 500 episodes and you can, whether or not, I guess I prefer, because this is what I have, a steady climb versus like a rocket ship that comes back down.
Well, that's the whole thing, is don't the managers and agents and whomever tell you like that's kind of the goal, is the long haul. It's not as short,
Because they want to keep making money off of you.
Yeah, it's true,
Like,
but
it's the
the
long
fact
haul.
that you can be, 60 years old and like Gene Smart's character in whatever that show is, Hacks, that I love, and on the road and doing your thing.
Or you could be 60 and living in the south of France. Like, let's not get it twisted. We would all rather have had everything handed to us. Like, people are like, we always take such like working man's pride. Like, I worked hard for everything I had. I'm like, hard pass. I would rather just be so hot, given everything, and just be useless.
Totally.
Wouldn't
Like
you rather-
I would smoke so many cigarettes on the beach.
Oh!
I would die for that in rosé.
If you were like that, I mean, you're beautiful, but like if you were like that kind of hot, where it's like, oh my God, what is this? A Fabergé egg? Thank you. That would be a nicer lift than like gritting it out on like a flight between like St. Louis to Chicago that's delayed.
No, but I think honestly, knowing you and how hard you work, and somebody like me, I actually feel like I'm happier this way, but I also feel like there's a lot of similarities between us, except you're a lot more successful. Okay, but here's the
Your
thing.
house is massive.
Okay, but this is not, I mean,
You're
I have a
but I broke
partner.
in here. I don't live here.
yeah, no, this is our set.
beautiful
That's it. Wait, so here's the deal. Born in the 80s, Jewish family,
Yes.
big boobs. I have big boobs. You
But
might
I
not
did
be able to.
breastfeed, so I don't know what they are now.
Right, I
just
know
there.
they're like, I just said I need a whole lift. Like my neck lifted, my chest lifted, everything lifted.
It would look so awful.
It would look
If
good.
they just stapled it here and like the nipples were just up, and then it was.
Do you
just,
not want to? I want everything right now.
I guess I don't think anyone's requiring that I pose nude, so it's kind of like it just looks great this way. And
Wait, I just heard you could go to Pink Cheeks here.
to what?
To Pink Cheeks. You know Pink Cheeks on Ventura Boulevard where they do waxing and stuff?
It's like where they bleach your butthole.
Yes, they bleach your butthole. I
Oh.
just found that out.
Well, we are in the valley.
Oh, no. But yeah, right, because all the porn stars, that used to be a place where all the porn stars went. Now it's totally mainstream, but they bleach your butthole.
Great.
Wait,
that was my
by the
first
way,
priority.
legit, I was like
part of a mommy
on
makeover.
on the to-do list.
To get your asshole bleached.
No, why wouldn't I?
Why? I don't know. Because it sounds expensive and useless.
No, not expensive.
Okay.
I don't think. No, because we're
She's like, I'm starting this OnlyFans and I need to keep up with this Gen Z who have perfect pink
Dead.
buttholes.
Wait, so hold on. Let's get back to everything. We grew up very similarly. Mark Wahlberg, you worked with him twice, right? Or once?
We made one movie together.
I thought you guys worked. Okay, regardless. Do you remember, obviously, the
Oh, I'm
Calvin-
sorry. I was in another movie that it was his movie, but we didn't.
Why do I know your bio better than you do?
It was a small part in a movie that he starred in with Rose Byrne. So like we worked together in a way that like an extra is like, yeah, me and Bobby De Niro. It's like you played someone crossing the street and you barely made eye contact. But then we did work together
Dead.
for real as co-stars in a movie.
Okay. Do you remember, obviously, because the way we were raised, Marky Mark in the Calvin Klein ads with Kate Moss, like, were you fawning over him and pinching yourself or him for that
I
matter?
have to be, no, I don't think that was on my radar, really. I feel like that would have been like early 90s. So I was like 7 in like 1992. So I like grew up in like suburban Dallas. Like I think I remember like CK was like a cool thing to get in like the 8th grade. Like I think I had like just missed it.
Yeah, in your book, you even called out the scent.
The scent of CK1.
Isn't that right? Or was it the Gap scent that you called out, like Sky or Smooth?
Gap
or-
grass.
Oh my-
was, like,
I
If you
remember.
fancied yourself in like the 8th grade, like in touch with the earth at all, like the hot girls wore Gap Dream, and then the rest of us were like, yeah, but Gap grass. But it did smell great.
Like we need
They're
to
like
resurrect
foray
that.
into the scent market. That would like you smell those, and you kind of like have to stop. I bought for my 40th birthday. I had a rave. I had
Oh, I saw that.
and you feel free to show pictures. I had a late 90s, early 2000s rave, and I went and sourced body sprays by like Ed Hardy and lotions from like Bath and Body Works. So I have a sweet pea Bath and Body Works lotion in my bathroom now, and every once in a while I'll like steal away and I'll just smell it and just kind of like let the serotonin drip down.
Oh, there it is.
So-
We've all been there.
So I'm 10-ish years older than you without saying the exact ages.
Sure.
Can you guess do you know what the smell was for like my high school years?
Well, what years were those?
So that would have been like 80.
Drakkar, Noir.
Oh my God, I didn't
got
even finish.
Are you from the East Coast?
Oh yeah, I'm from Boston.
I feel like it's a very like East Coast thing that trickled over.
Yeah,
Drakkar.
I didn't even finish and you said
Yeah,
Drakkar. I was
ding,
like,
ding, ding,
everything was
ding, ding.
Drakkar.
Yeah, that was Abercrombie Woods. That's what boys smelled like.
Greg's looking at me like, would you get to the good stuff? Like, let's talk about the Righteous
This
Gemstones.
is the good stuff.
Let's talk about, okay, you do have so many projects. The Righteous Gemstones, cannot wait
you.
to see you on it. So it was you and who are you co-star? Like, who did you come in with? What thing?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but in that scene, you see
Stephen Dorff.
Stephen Dorff.
Stephen Dorff.
And it's he and I and another actor, and we are all related. And we play like a rival family.
So, and do you die for Danny McBride?
He's so wonderful to work with. He's like such a down-to-earth guy. He is as funny as it's not like he like saves it for the camera. Like he's just a funny guy and he's a good guy. And because of that, the set was really nice. All the cast, all the crew, everybody's just happy. These are like real actors they hire. Like the more you're on set, the more you're like, oh, I recognize all these people from like legitimate movies.
Right.
And of course, John Goodman, who is an actor's actor, and I'm happy to report, like just as nice as you've heard.
I've interviewed him. Nicest
And
guy. Yeah.
Edie Patterson and Cassidy Freeman, like all the women were, everybody was just great.
And
like,
the
we had a
show,
great
well,
time.
let me tell you, it shows because the show is killer. Let's talk about the fact that being a comedian right now has got to be one of the toughest jobs in the sense that nobody thinks things are funny anymore. Everything is cancel culture. And what I hate the most, to be honest with you, is that you're pushed to go far, to be irreverent, to shock. And then when you take that little step too far, you're canceled. And it feels like it must be impossible to come back at that point.
You know, I gotta be honest. I think we as a society have gone through an overcorrect, which I actually do think was
100%.
necessary. And I also think it's like, let's look at the intention behind this jokes. I don't believe in shock value. That's fine. Some comics do, and some audiences like it. This is why freedom of speech is so important, because what I find appalling, you might find perfect and hilarious. And I'm talking about this on stage now. If I don't think something is funny, I don't do it. We have to have a forgiveness for a joke that was made in poor taste, that was delivered several years ago.
Oh, right.
And people kind of don't understand context. And these jokes are anachronistic, like because you're discovering a joke now that a guy made about Mexicans 20 years ago, you're wanting to hold him to the same cultural standards now. Never forget that there are audiences that laugh. It's not about it being right or wrong. It's about like, what hill are we really dying on?
Well, also, we've evolved as a culture or changed. And so, like you're saying, just to your point, things that weren't okay or were okay before are not now.
Yeah, and by the way, comics are emblematic of a tone of a culture.
Right.
So you're not coming out and saying things that no one else is saying. You're saying things that you're a product of whatever the cultural environment is. So I know these things sound like excuses, but comics have to be allowed. By the way, you as the audience are under no obligation to laugh if you don't like it. And more importantly, you do not have to buy another ticket to support that comic if you don't like what they said. But this thing where because someone said something offensive forever ago, they should lose everything.
Right.
I think that's more than a pound of flesh. And I think that
It's
punishment
such a problem.
far outweighs the crime.
Well, it doesn't. Yes, 100%.
And so what happens is it takes away from when someone legitimately is like spewing hate speech and saying horrible things, they just go get a podcast and like they're allowed to exist with all those other underlings. And so we're taking away from when serious things do need to be addressed by crying wolf every single time.
Well, I also don't think it's right to punish somebody when they made a mistake. Like, oh, the rest of you are so perfect and nobody's ever said something that they regret.
I think we're coming back a little bit from this.
Let's sure
overcorrect.
hope.
I think people are settling down, but also like I don't really make a living off of saying things that I don't stand by. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody says jokes that you're like, oof, that's not
Didn't
funny,
land.
you know? But that's also when you speak for a living, you're going to misspeak.
I do feel stuck, to be honest with you. I think it's gone way too far. And
I guess
hopefully
the question is, why do you want to say what you want to say? Like,
Well, is
what's
there-
not you, but like, what's at the root of the joke you're making? Like, what's the real point?
is there a rule with you? Like, I will not talk about other races, or I will not talk about, or do you just, everything's kind of on
There's just certain
limits.
things for posting. If I have to think twice, I don't post it. Not having to do with race or anything. Just like, oh, was that something dumb I said or something that didn't represent me? And on stage, for me, it's always about saying the thing that you didn't know you could say. I'm not a political comic. I have social commentary, but I'm not like a Daily Show correspondent. And I don't know that it's on me to get up there and explain how race and gender work. I do believe a comedy stage is sacred. The walls of a venue, whether it be a theater or an arena or a comedy club, this is a sacred space where you have agreed to sit in the dark and consume this one-way exchange. That sounds so porny. But if you don't like it, then don't laugh. And if enough people don't laugh, and if enough people don't buy tickets, then the proof is in the pudding. Then that joke wasn't funny. But if you don't like it, don't go.
Can we go back to Marky Mark for a second? I'm just kidding. Wait, by the way, you're hot and you're funny. Don't they cancel each other out? You're not allowed to be both. There was that whole thing, if you're a comedian and you lose weight all of a sudden, you're not considered funny anymore.
I feel like almost all women that do stand up now are pretty attractive. I feel like that's a very old, it used to be you had to whatever.
Be one or the other.
Make yourself uglier, and it came from this pain, but I don't know. I don't think of myself as a hot girl, but I can also.
That Netflix special, are you kidding me?
Hot Forever?
Yeah.
I called myself Hot Forever?
Hot Forever. You were hot.
I think more and more women are showing hey, I can put on concealer and nail some timing. Both can be done.
Okay. See, look at that. That's pretty progressive. And I mean, I love that. So you wrote 2 books, okay? One of which you wrote during the pandemic, 6 Netflix specials. Now you're going on tour.
And yet all that matters are your TikToks. And yet all that people care about is when you try on clothes.
Wait, is that
No, it's
true?
just the shifting of the landscape. It's hey, you've got this arena to fill. And all the material you created with your brain that you memorized is great. But could you do something funny where you drink soda?
Well, I want to know about that too. How do you memorize all the material? I'm not even kidding.
Repetition.
So how often are you doing it?
I go up. Every comic works differently. I really enjoy getting up. It's a great stress relief. I liken it to if you're a bodybuilder going to the gym.
Okay.
You've got to get your reps in. So I go up Tuesday through Saturday, and I'll do a couple spots. These are 15 to 20 minute spots, sometimes 30. And
at local comedy clubs?
Local clubs when I'm in town, just to work out your hour bit by bit. And so
got it. That's how it's going. So we could see you at the Comedy Store or
Yes.
something on a Monday night randomly.
I am not hard to come by. I will be usually not on Monday night, but at the Comedy Store or the Improv or an alt show if there's a really good bar or a really good small stage somewhere.
And you see what lands and what doesn't.
And I see what lands, and I just scoop up these sets, and I just scoop them up, and you cobble together, you Frankenstein together this hour, and then you go and do larger. You'll do the hour at the Brea Improv or at the Ice House, and you just start to form it, and then you go on the road and you do it.
Hit arenas, sold out arenas, baby, and Netflix. Can I, you saw me, I brain farted in the middle of this interview for a minute, and I was like, hold on, let me look at my questions for a second. But you don't have that luxury being on stage. So what do you do when you forget something? Is there a prompter reminding you? Do you have cue cards?
You just sit in it. You just sit there and you start to get hot. And this little voice says, oh my God, this is real, not a dream. What are you going to say? People are looking at you.
And are you
something comes
repeating?
back in.
Okay, so you just hyper focus at that moment.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
it
I've
happens.
seen people, comedians, repeat the last line, and I'm like, oh, that's their process.
Sometimes you'll do that just to drop back in. Sometimes it just goes away and you're just trying to grab anything out of the air.
Totally.
So, a seasoned comic, I can tell when someone lost their place, but it happens. The trick is to be professional and composed enough that the audience doesn't realize it. And lucky for me, I go so fucking fast that by the time you've caught up, we've already moved past the fact that I forgot a full paragraph. You come back to it
Well,
later.
I remember the Chris Rock special not long ago. He blew one of the punchlines, and it was a big one because it had to do with Will Smith. I don't know if you saw the special. And I thought, how he recovered was so effortless and so freaking Jedi, samurai, whatever you want to call it. It was phenomenal. I'm like, that's a pro.
That's exactly right. That's the professionalism, and that's that's the difference between somebody who blew up on social media and is doing stand-up versus someone who has honed that craft. And you can see it in the way people handle crowd work or hecklers or an interruption or forgetting something or a joke that bombs. It's not about the bombing. It's how do you recover? And hopefully you recover so effortlessly that nobody noticed there was a problem.
So have you bombed before on stage?
I mean, everybody has sets that they don't like. I definitely had a set the other week where, because I've done so many sets, I walked off and I was like, you just have to remember that they won't remember it as horribly as you thought it was. And then the next day you don't, like, you go get frozen yogurt, you don't think about it. Like, we're talking about batting averages
Do you mean
here.
a vodka?
Yeah, vodka. I go find, this is how gross I am. I pulled into the Improv the other day, and there's a little store across the street that's always empty. It used to be something called like Ice Link, like some like watch store, and it's been empty forever. It's next to Fred Siegel. And I see that there are like yogurt pumps, and I see that it's a Pinkberry. Out loud, by myself, to myself, I went, what? Is it open now? And it wasn't. And like, relax.
Okay, so yogurt is the vice?
It is. I like something sweet. I'm very hungry after a set, even if it's only 15 minutes.
Totally. It's the brain power going.
I will voraciously consume anything sweet, any sugary, anything with fruit.
Do you drink?
I drink, but not, I have my one rule. I don't drink if there's a show. I don't drink before.
100%. Like, some people can actually perform that way. For me, even with interviews, I have to be dead sober. And I am
Oh, you mean going to work and taking your job seriously?
Oh, there you go.
Like, I wouldn't even
What
have
a
a drink at
concept.
brunch. The whole day is devoted to that. And then after, maybe you have a drink, but it's not like a vice of mine.
Well, I get even stupider when I drink. I think I'm more fun after a drink, but I definitely get stupid. Because I'm not that smart to start.
I don't know. I'm one of those people that's like, Eliza, you were so drunk last night and you were speaking fluent Spanish. I'm like, I don't know where it came from. We went out the other night and got drunk, and we decided to get tacos at like a taqueria after. So we're in line. It's a really good one. So it's a half-hour line.
Which one?
It's just, it was on the east side. I couldn't tell you which one. So we're standing with like a bunch of guys who just got out of a Dodger game. I don't know what happened. Someone said something, and these four guys were just making conversation. One was like, yeah, I'll probably move to Texas because that's a great state. And I just, like, every feminist, like, hair on my neck stood up, and I was like, why do you think that?
What?
And he was like answering me, and I was like, so you have a problem with stripping away women's bodily autonomy? He's like, what? My husband took a picture. It's me. It's like four guys in Dodgers jerseys, and it's just me like this, trying to explain to them women's rights. And I think I got through to one. Because like prison rules, when you're arguing with dumb people, you grab the dumbest one and you keep hitting them until they relent. And I think I got one to agree that women don't like being raped. I think we found some common ground with that.
But just barely.
That was how I spent my Saturday night.
The best is that
wasted.
Amazing, Eliza.
I'm a very lucid drunk.
Okay, so you kind of teed it up a couple times. Your husband is a very famous James Beard nominee chef. What is he like? Do you out-funny him? I want to know what it's like in the kitchen. Who's cooking what? Do you cook? Does anybody cook?
It's all a sham. It's a Blue Apron. He cooks everything we eat. I'm not even going to pretend that like we do it together. No, I have no interest.
Wow.
And
from morning to night.
He cooks everything.
He definitely cooks the baby's food too.
He cooks the baby's food, and she just eats what we eat. But I think his biggest stress in life, it's like, every woman's like, oh my God, I want a man that can cook for me. And all he ever wants me to do is tell him what I want to eat. He's like, I'll make it. I do the girl thing where he's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, guess. Oh, figure me out. And he's just like, it's like the thing that we argue about.
So what does he usually make you, and what do you like most? Like, what's his signature dish for you?
He does, I should have that answer. We do a lot of healthy eating. Like, his book is called Don't Panic Pantry Cookbook.
Yes.
So it's based off the cooking show we did in COVID. The food he makes is really healthful, vegetable forward, but we definitely eat meat once in a while. Just a lot of like pasta, a lot of vegetables. I rolled my eyes. I didn't mean to do that. A lot of vegetables.
I'm laughing though, because now that you say it, my girlfriend Brooke, who I told you about, my girlfriend, you know who Brooke is, like Tinkerbell, basically. She knows them and was saying how she follows his recipes all the time.
They're really, this sounds like you can really taste the love, but like you can, and they are really all his or like family recipes. And he really does cook with his heart, and he really cares. Like, I see him look over, if like it's a new dish and I take a bite, I see him look over to see my reaction. Aww. And sometimes I'll just go like, oh my God, it's so good. Like, knowing he's not, everything he makes is delicious.
Do you make him laugh all the time? Or is he annoyed with you at this point?
No, I do make him laugh, but my brother asked me this the other day. He's like, let me ask you a question. He's like, does no one laugh at your jokes? And I was like, honestly, as a comedian, more importantly, he makes me laugh. He's so
Really?
funny. He's funny to the point where I'll be writing like a script and I'll be like, do you have a better joke for this?
No.
He's so funny.
And he's just intentionally funny, or he doesn't mean to be.
He knows it's funny, but he's a very like, he doesn't perform on cue. If I'm like, hey, do that thing again, he'll be like, absolutely not. He's a very serious person, but he's so smart and he's so funny. And we laugh together. Like we have our own language and like it's all I ever want to do.
You like your husband still?
I love
How
my
many years have you been married?
It'll be 5 years tomorrow.
Oh, it's because it's only 5.
I mean, sometimes I'm just
kidding.
like, what is it?
No, at 5 years, I wanted to kill my husband. I almost threw him out. And then I was like, you know what? Let me give him another shot.
Oh, I was like, and you did, and you got the insurance money and bought
yes,
this house.
queen. No.
He's a really sweet man, and I mean, we're married, so there are things I'm sure. I was actually, the other day, he was like, yeah, you have things that you do that annoy me, and I was shocked. I was like, really? In my
Me?
mind, like, it's so perfect to be married to me, and he's like, of course you annoy
What
me.
do you do that annoys him?
I'd have to, should we call him and put him on speaker?
Yeah, let's do it. And then
Okay.
you have to, wait, by the way, I also want to ask, Greg, can we get him on the line?
Here, if you grab my phone, I can call. He's going to be so annoyed. It's in my purse. It's right there.
I also want to know about your side project, which is working out. Because
sure.
you have an eight pack. Oh, I thought you were going to take off your jacket
no.
to show us.
I don't know why I readjusted like that. Sure.
No, but seriously, how you have a 6-pack, 8-pack. I don't know what it is, but we've seen the pictures online.
I'll tell you about it. Let's do this and then
Yeah,
I'll tell you
let's
that.
do this and then that.
1 minute.
Hi.
Oh my God, he's sleeping.
No, he's not. He
That's
just sounds
sex
like that.
voice?
He's just a tired person. We're doing this interview, and I was saying how the other day you were like, of course you do things that annoy me, and I was like floored by that information. And Adrianna was wondering if she's the host, if what are the things that you do that annoy him? And I was like, I'd have to call him. So
I mean, nothing off the top of my head.
That's right.
They do exist.
is it that foot thing when we're sleeping?
Yeah, that's not great. Turning the volume up on your phone by mistake a lot.
Yeah, I'll be like watching Instagram in bed and he'll be sleeping and it'll like a video will come on with the volume and it'll like blueberry recipe and he wakes up from that.
Like
But that's-
Eliza.
That's not a personality thing. Oh, is it how I always make a face after we have sex? Like,
I
Okay,
was
what
just
is it?
impressed that you said you're still having sex with a 16-month-old at home.
you got to.
Oh, you sometimes tell everyone else in the world about what your plan is and what you're doing except me. And all of a sudden you have like a whole thing scheduled. Like you will leave me out of things because it's like, almost like you assume that I would know what's going on, but then you like schedule a bunch of stuff without me and make plans and then organize things and then don't tell me, but you tell everybody else.
Hubs, can I tell
You'll
you?
tell like your assistant, your manager, your agent, and then like the nanny, but then like all the owner doesn't find out about it.
But be like, no, the flight is in an hour.
Wait, that's a lot of women do that, just so you feel better about
So
that.
you know, you got a good one with me. You better count your blessings.
Oh, you each have your own thing in the arts. It's great, and you bring
Yes.
something to the table. YouTube. Let's talk about the YouTube thing real quick. Let's add it to the
Okay,
rest
sure.
of everything
If
else
you
you're
wanna-
doing.
I mean, I know how hard stand-up is, and I know how hard it is to get any sort of visibility in the stand-up space. So I partnered with a company called 800-Pound Gorilla, and we produced 3 episodes of comedy specials. I picked 18 comics that I see and have seen out there for years working hard that could use a break. And we gave them each a 10-minute special. And we shot them at Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in Koreatown, so they're beautifully shot. And we released them, so we have 3 episodes, 6 comics an episode. And it's a great way for me to be like, hey, here's some comics I believe in. Here's
Paying
some
it
comics you
forward.
like. Yeah, it's just nobody ever gave me like a break like that. And I think it's important if you're a comic and you can create something for another comic who's working hard for it to just create a little bit of space for them. I didn't say the name of the show though. It's called Eliza's Locals.
Oh,
and it's
Eliza's
on YouTube.
Locals. Did we talk about the abs?
No.
We want to see your 6-pack. No, we can't do that here. You're feminist. We're
I
not
can
gonna-
body it.
Okay, fine. Let's see your 6-pack.
I don't know. I mean, that's an ugly bra. I don't know.
How
That's-
is this genetic?
I do think a big, like, you're a tiny person, and so you.
But I have a belly. Always.
you're
Always
so
and forever. You're like, that's because you drink. Stop drinking.
because you're lush. I think. Look, I had my baby, and I just made the decision that I was going to lean hard into Pilates, which is not something that I really did before. And I found it and it works for me. And I worked out my whole life and this just did it. And I do Pilates a couple times a week. I don't diet.
Let's just fit it into the schedule that's already jam-packed.
It turns out if you do it turns out if you do a workout very early in the morning before you know what's going on, it's over before you realize it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have to be half sleeping, but I go to yoga. I love yoga.
That's nice.
Wait, tour dates. Well, you don't have to say the exact tour dates, but just a lot of the dates are sold out. So congrats.
Thank you. We're adding second shows. This is the Hard Feelings tour, and I'm just pumped. I did my last special, Hot Forever, came out in October, so I took a break. I took the summer and the spring off. My agent was like, most people take breaks. Like I've just been touring for the last almost 20 years. And so I took a break, which is great because I get to be with my baby, and we're gonna hit it real hard starting with Hawaii and then in the fall. And we've got a whole Europe tour planned, and
Do they come with you?
they're going to, my husband and baby are gonna come for some of it, and they're gonna come for Europe. I
Oh,
can't
wow.
wait to see her as like in Scandinavia. Like, because they like to leave their babies out in the cold, and I can't wait to see her like all bundled up, playing with other adorable children safely
But
without
also
guns.
she gets to see what a superstar you are on stage, and that's got to be.
I don't think it's gonna register,
rewarding.
but I'm very excited. She's so young,
Yeah.
but I'm excited just to be
She'll
able to
get
have
it.
her there.
And on that note, Iliza Shlesinger. Nailed it. Woo!
Nice.
If nothing more from this interview, I totally nailed how to pronounce the last name.
It's actually huge. Like
Right?
yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And you're Jewish, so you do get a pass.
I'm telling you, I studied it. Schlesinger, because I thought it was a different kind of G pronunciation.
And you know what? It may be. Like, who's to say what has changed since they came over?
Is your well, when did they come over?
like
A bazillion years ago?
I feel like I'm being like questioned in a room. Like, how loyal are you? I mean, we're like 4th or 5th generation Americans, like
Okay.
red, white, and blue, baby. But
I'm first gen.
really,
Yes, Eastern Europe, the fam.
Where?
Hungary, Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
My mom was born in Czechoslovakia at the time.
What was Czechoslovakia? Yeah.
What was Czechoslovakia? Hungary, Poland, Germany. I don't have 4 parents.
I was
but
gonna
do-
say.
No, but it was yeah, I will get into this after.
I'm reading a really good book about Hungary right now. I just finished
What
it.
is it?
It's called The Angel Maker, and I actually loved it so much that I'm meeting with the writer. Have you heard of this?
Oh no, I can't believe you read too on top of it. Like
This, and
you know
even
there's
worse-
24 hours in a day.
Even worse, it was a recommendation from The Economist, and I was like, let me get that book. I can
love
tell you
it.
off
Very
camera.
highbrow.
I don't think the people that listen to this podcast want to hear about like post World War I Nagy Rev Hungary.
I'm all sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby.
Okay, I'll tell you about it after the show.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
That
guys.
was awesome.